Renee. I got it. You're just starting to record this. Mike, me, and Greg. All right, I'll call the meeting to order at 7:03. And why don't we just start going around with saying you're present, Greg?
Yeah, so this meeting is being recorded and will be available with a link off of our website to our YouTube channel. Mike Naughton,
Present.
Alan,
Present.
Karen,
Present.
Renee,
Present.
Deb, Loomer,
Present.
Stephen,
Present.
Bill,
Yes.
Raina,
Present.
Pat,
Present.
and Jane.
Present.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you all for joining. And we also have with us Mary Broderick, who is the facilitator, and we will be getting to her in just probably 2 minutes. Is there a motion to approve the May 18th minutes? Everyone have a chance to review them?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
So Mike, and was that Karen? Who seconded?
Deb.
Deb, thank you, Deb. All right, discussion? Thank you,
Look
Greg.
good
for
to
doing-
be. Thank you.
Greg, thank you for doing that. They very nicely done. All right. All those in, let's see, Greg, how do you vote to
Yes,
approve?
I did write them. So if you guys are okay with them, I'm okay with them.
Okay, Alan, yes. Mike,
Yes.
Karen? Karen, you're on mute.
I'm going to abstain. I didn't read them.
Okay, no problem. Renee,
Yep.
Deb,
Yep.
Steve,
Yep.
Bill,
Yes.
Raina,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
and Jane.
Yes.
Thank you. One abstention.
Alan, just one
That was
quick
Karen.
question, not to put Greg on the spot, but we are missing minutes for some of our meetings and just don't want that to get lost.
I have not forgotten them. I will
Okay, good.
I will be working on I think there's I think 2 other meetings I still have to write. So yeah, I'll get to them.
Okay, that I didn't count, but
Yeah, I'm aware of them. Thanks, Mike.
okay. Well, I just don't want to, we're a public body. We don't want to get into trouble.
Thank you. Did the education subcommittee, Deb, did the education subcommittee, you haven't met, correct? Or have you?
Bill's doing the education one. I'm doing the PR one or whatever.
Okay, so you're doing PR. Bill, have you had it? Did you have any reason to meet? I don't remember.
No, we have not.
Okay. And Mike, you have not, correct?
Correct.
And neither has the PR. Okay.
No, we've
Are-
met, Alan.
Pardon?
We have met.
Okay. Give us an update, please.
4 of us met and we talked about what our plan of action would be. And as we talked about it, we decided that our best plan of action was to put together some sort of a presentation, bring it to BNC-TV and MCT, which we've done, to see if they would broadcast something during the summertime that could be looped. So if you didn't see it, the first time they played it, that there would be another opportunity. We talked about, and I spoke with Mary a little bit, we talked about Mary presenting it, and then we talked a little bit about, it might be better if we had 2 local people who the communities could relate with, talking about this is why we're doing it, and also using some of that footage from Pioneer that was done in video. And I have the stills from Turners Falls High School to just kind of do a presentation, kind of a dialogue between two people, very low key, rather than it seeming like we didn't want it to be a slideshow or a presentation. We wanted it to have a more personal touch that people could relate with. And so that's where we're at right now. As we sat at our meeting at the Creamy, Tyler Borbo from BNC TV just happened to get out of his car. And so we accosted him, and he said that Deb Potee was going to look into it, would talk to Oscar, the stage manager. But he felt pretty secure in that he could probably also produce it. So that, everybody could get together and so forth, rather than us putting it together and videotaping it. He didn't know if that was going to be a cost. He didn't think so. So he talked about doing that, and he was actually pretty excited about somehow producing it. I then spoke to Deirdre at MCTV, asked her what her thoughts were. How did the two public, stations communicate with each other? And she said more recently that they're very, very well connected. They do a lot more things together now. If BNC TV actually produced it, MCTV would give them the credit. But they would play it on their station. And she also said whatever MCTV could do to help with the committee presentation, regionalization, whatever you want to call it, that they'd be happy to help out. So we thought that would be a good first start, and then possibly use, that as in the fall, maybe have a more open forum with a couple staff and even a couple students along with. So this was kind of like the introduction, but once again, trying to get this out to the public, and certainly, how would we advertise when it was on? That's just a pretty, method of signage and so forth. But in any case, that's what we thought might be the best way to really try to get the ball rolling so that the total community could see it.
I love the idea, Deb, about like two people, parents or whatever, having a conversation about it. They probably have to script out a little bit the topics that they, want to cover as they probe each other's thoughts and so forth. But that is a nice way to sort of present it without sounding like, it's being presented. So very clever, and you get the right people to that. Maybe we have some blooming actors and actresses that are.
I know we have one blooming star.
Oh, Michelle's joining us too. Let's have a little feedback about that, Deb. People have different comments, and thank you, Michelle, for joining us. Different comments, folks.
I think that's great work. Thank you, Deb.
Thank you, Deb.
Bill, could you say that again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, I just said, I think that's great work. Thank you to Deb and the rest of her committee. It's really inspiring idea.
Yeah.
It also was pretty tricky to meet at the Creamy and make sure Tyler was there.
Yeah, it was just divine intervention. I'm sorry. It just happened, right, Michelle and Deb? Going. Showing up, Deb, when we were at the Creamy.
Yeah. Mike, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I want to echo Bill. It sounds like a great idea. I do think that some thought should be put into the content. It's a little unclear to me, how detailed it's this is going to be. And I don't, I'm not saying I have an opinion on that, but I think it's important that we make sure, I don't want ideas getting out on the community that then have to get rolled back. So, and I also want to make sure that we give as complete a picture as possible based on the level of presentation that we're talking about. So, those are just just saying, to say, generally speaking, yeah, it sounds great. But to talk about it, we haven't really talked about what it is. And I just think that should have more discussion at some point in some forum. I also wonder how that would relate to what the working group that Greg and Steve and I are on. We're supposed to be coming up with a PowerPoint, and I wonder, seems possible that what Deb is talking about could replace that PowerPoint, but
No.
maybe not. So
Just a more community
that's
oriented
another question.
kind of,
Well, the PowerPoint's supposed to get the word out to the community as far as what we found, what's going on, and that sounds like what you're talking about. So maybe there's two different ways to do the same thing.
well, I'm
Maybe
thinking
there
that
are two different parts of the same thing.
yours would be in a meeting forum, so you might have a community meeting and present the PowerPoint. This was using another resource in the community TV level. So once again, to get the word out, it has to be done at multiple levels. And we know participation to get people to come to meetings sometimes is low. So if we try another forum, which would be the community TV, it's just another way to get the word out.
So would, in a sense, would that conversation maybe be not necessarily about the PowerPoint per se, but presenting the same content as would be in the PowerPoint? So if someone went to a meeting and saw it, and someone else saw it on TV, they would end up having seen the same basic points.
Absolutely. I don't
Is that
think
the idea?
to reinvent any wheel, any information that would be
Well,
used.
neither wheel has been invented, so we haven't really, I mean, it's not a question of reinventing at this point, but it sounds like development of these things should happen at least in tandem, or something. I mean, or the PowerPoint should be developed first, and then the TV show should be produced afterwards, or I don't know. I mean,
Well, I think
Yeah.
one of the pieces we want to start to get the word out now, meaning this summer.
that's just
Don't
it. The
wanna wait till
PowerPoint
the
isn't ready
fall.
now.
Once again, things are moving at a slower pace. And if you wait for everything to the fall to happen, so BNC TV seemed pretty amendable to let's start on this. And if you can get the word out, it'll still be the same word. But it doesn't want to wait till the fall. And we also have to do what their timing is and when they're available.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Karen, Karen, you're to jump in and maybe some of your comments will tie later on to potential next steps in Mary, but
Yeah,
I
right.
think that you, I don't know if you want to do that now or wait till then, up to you. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I think it would be a good time to go to the next item, the facilitators update, because we did a good deal of talking about how to do this, and you have some great ideas. We had some ideas, but it was the structuring of what the order of operations might be that we really got in the weeds talking about. And I think that Mary could really explain better. And we are all hoping that you were able to read her report, because it had a lot of positive things in it for sure. But I wasn't there for that meeting with the teachers from the two schools. She was. Alan listened in, Greg listened in, and maybe they can tell you more about what came out of it and how we can use what came out of it to maybe take the next step.
Thank you, Karen. That's a great transition to Mary Broderick, who did a really wonderful job teasing out a lot of good information and capturing it and then reporting out on it. One of the things, Mary, I loved about your soliciting information is I think everyone felt that whatever their idea was, it was valued, it was written down, it was talked about a little bit. And so you really did, I think people left feeling that they had an opportunity to have their voices heard and to share. So thank you for that. So that's a great transition, Karen. So the next part is two parts. One of them, Mary will share, her report. And then we're going to move to what Karen's talking about, which is the next steps, which is what people started to, get into now. And so those conversations about, as Karen said, the sequence and what happens can come out of a follow-up from Mary's presentation. So Mary, I pass it over to you. Welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alan. I was kind of amazed at the enthusiasm and goodwill among the teachers. Now, they were almost all Gil Montague teachers, but even the three from Pioneer Valley ended up being really pretty excited, I think, excuse me, about the potential direction. Alan, or let's see, I am able to share my screen, right? Thank you.
Yes, you got it.
I'm going to trust that people, whoops, are you seeing the Six-Town Regionalization Planning Board?
Yes, you
Yeah.
got it. Yeah.
Has everybody had a chance to read through it?
Yes.
I hope. Okay. I won't spend a lot of time on the background and the process then. You will see that I spoke with administrators prior to the June meetings with teachers, the late June 28th and 29th. But you'll see there were 10 at the high school meeting and there were 10 at the middle school meeting. And they were pretty representative of some of the different disciplines. But there were some really clear themes with both of them, that people think that that hands-on learning is really a draw, that there are wonderful resources in both communities that could support students in their hands-on learning. The agriculture as well as the industry communities could be real partners in that. World languages was another theme. There were some areas that got into general academic offerings that I just listed under general. And then there was a lot of enthusiasm about partnering with community resources again. Innovative pathways, athletics, strong extracurricular and co-curricular options, especially in the arts. Again, you'll see that was a theme in both places. And the other point that came up both at that meeting, and then I invited people if they had any other ideas to be in touch with me. And I did hear from one talking about the potential to really address students' special needs and to be able to bring students who are outplaced back, because you'll have the resources to provide programs for them when you have a greater number of students in the districts. So one big message from them, and there was a lot of energy around this, is we've got to market this. And there were some incredibly articulate teachers, one of whom came to both meetings, who I think would be really interested in helping with that. And Deb, as you were talking about the video, I'm thinking, wow, some of these could be really powerful spokespeople on that kind of, in that kind of format. And would teachers be good messengers for you? So since you've all had a chance, there were some concerns also. The lack of staff from Pioneer Valley was a big concern there were a lot of Gil Montague people who spoke about being disappointed that it was not the opportunity that they'd hoped it would be to meet Pioneer Valley staff. And there were some misconceptions about even the philosophy of education. that they found it very reassuring to hear from one another are that they really are more similar than they are different in their approach. So I'm not going to read through all of these because I trust that you've had a chance to look through them yourselves. But I'd love to address any questions that you have. I did meet with Karen and Alan yesterday, and as the PowerPoint committee, no, sorry, the survey committee. And it did, we ended up talking about inviting the teachers who are interested in thinking about the marketing messages, and that would inform everybody's efforts, right? The PowerPoint, the survey, the Deb's work that she described earlier, the video slideshow. So if you're interested in going that route, I would love to see whether the teachers are willing to become a part of a marketing group that considers how to get this word out in a positive way. So let me stop there and see questions that you have from the report. Shall I call on people, Alan? I saw Greg
Yes.
and then Bill. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's important to just point out that when you say marketing, what they were meaning in terms of marketing was marketing this type of collaboration, that it wasn't marketing like, we all have to get behind a combined region. It was that we need to market getting the word out to get
Yes.
people together to have conversations about it so they
But
can be informed.
It was beyond that though, Greg.
It was,
was about the district, this new district that it
was,
needs.
there was some excitement, but I think it did start off as people don't really understand what this is about. And we had a lot of conversations over that. And I think we have to be careful that, they were excited once they learned from each other. I think that's what was important, was that they learned from each other that a combined district could be very exciting. And then they were like, well, we should get behind this and we should do this. But I think it started off as we need to market it so that people actually know what's going on. So I think it's two things.
Barry, wasn't the point of this though, as I recall the conversation, it was marketing the dream of what was possible. That's what they were
That's how I
focused.
really heard it.
And
Right.
so they wanted to market that what might be possible. I
That's
just want to
correct.
clarify that.
It was very much marketing to help people know that the district, I think they're really feeling that each of their regions has tremendous strengths that families don't necessarily appreciate because they're hearing the marketing messages from the competition. And so they want to make sure that the message for the local public school, we end in 10 minutes. The local public school choice is phenomenal. And especially if we put our resources together. So I think that their perspectives would be really important to informing the survey and the other ways of soliciting the perspectives of your audiences. So I'm not sure. Oh, no, Alan, Bill, you were next, I guess.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciated your report a lot, but I think you draw an awful lot of conclusions, mostly only because of participation, only because of Gil Montague. And my current focus is, aside from the education subcommittee, I might as well throw this out now, is I want to go to each board, the school committee, and address them and tell them that from the beginning, school districts are an autonomous political entity. And unfortunately, Pioneer feels that they've never been included in this. And I want the school committee to make a decision to either back this or buck it. And then it becomes more of a political thing. We all were appointed by select boards, and select boards have nothing to do with the administration of public school districts, regional districts. That's a fact of life. That's how districts got formed. The only thing that the towns have is control over the budget. And I happen to be, as I told my school committee the other day, I bet I'm the only person on the school committee, mine, I don't know about the other, that has ever gone to a district meeting. I've gone to 2 of them to overrule the towns and get money for the schools. And it's not a pleasant experience, and is demonstrated mostly by the repercussions of it, which lasted for years in the Gil-Montague system, with budget contention and the schools being underfunded forever. So I want to present an argument first to the school committee to get behind this, which may then help the superintendent get behind it, and it may help the principal of the high school get behind it. I was very disappointed, and Karen and Deb Loomer were with me. I personally was very disappointed with the reception that we got when we went to Pioneer, that they complained about, or whoever said that that was not a good presentation or reception of our presentation. We were there to present, but also to present totally innocently. And I think that the audience came with a perspective more than we did. So that's greatly disappointing. And I think part of that is the fact that in Pioneer, the former superintendent left in August. They had a new superintendent who was trying to imagine, how can I make a dream world out of this, not knowing all the politics in this small town region, perhaps, and understanding how difficult it is to form a budget and blah, blah, blah. You go on forever. I don't mean to hog this time, but I have great concerns about everybody's view of the integrity of the districts themselves as political entity, autonomous political entities that at any time can, if this came up, I believe that they can call a district meeting and say, who wants to do this in the whole town? So yes, we have to project this not only to the districts, but we have to project it to the town people as well. But we can't avoid any longer the autonomy of the districts and respecting that somewhat. And I don't care what DESI has said or any meetings with them. I think that in legal terms, we have to be careful about drawing in the school committee itself. Thank you. I'm sorry to go on so long.
No, thank you, Bill. Let me ask this. Deb, before we, just a
Yeah.
logistic thing. Is it possible, Mary, to immediately, if we get kicked out of here, send out an invitation so we can resume this meeting?
I can create one right now. Why don't I go ahead and do that and send it to all of
Well,
you?
I think, Greg, isn't it true? I think we can use the same one. We'll get
For
kicked
another
out
40
and then we
minutes.
get back in again.
That's the way it's worked in the past, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, Zoom does change over time.
Yes.
The company does.
Okay, I've heard that's where, in the past, I've heard that's what could.
Yeah,
I-
you're right, but
The information I have about that is that we all have to sign off before the 40 minutes are up, and then we could sign into the same thing.
well, what I don't want to happen is if Mary sets one up and she knows she's
Yeah.
one out, I think that would just solve the issue, because then.
Yeah.
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 So Mary, why don't you set it up and
Okay.
with a link, and then we will recess, and then we'll all join back into the link that you send out. Do you have everyone here?
Yeah.
You have Raina and Renee, Pat.
I
Let's
hope
see.
so. Well, I'll
anyone?
send it out, and Greg, would you double check that I have everybody on it and send the link if I missed anybody?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
And Bill, thank you for those, those comments. Deb will pick up from your comment because your hand was raised when we come back. And then I may or may not have a follow-up, but I want to continue to stay focused on what we're doing. But thank you, Bill. We do have to get the committees knowledgeable about what's happening and where we are. Maybe even a follow-up with the communities of their commitment. All right, so do you want us to sign out or do you want us to, how do we do this?
Why don't we just all sign out and look, everybody check your email in about 5 minutes and I'll have.
Okay, we're gonna leave the meeting and we'll come back in.